say how I feel. It's like ooh la la. It's kinda easy now 'cause it's real. Hey. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Well, hi everybody. How are you? Good to have you here. Let's see. Turning the heat down in here, Gretchen. Whew. Welcome, welcome, welcome. New little change up. Since I changed things to Imagine with Gretchen, I decided to take the photography part out and put in some books and do some other stuff. Ah, thanks, Tamara. I appreciate it. Yeah. I didn't mean to take out the film countdown, but it worked out. It disappeared. I was trying something and I deleted something and it wouldn't come back. So I said, oh, well, it's not meant to be there. Yes, everybody, really glad to be here and just did not clean my glasses. So we'll just keep going. Oh, hang on. I have glasses, but no glass. Oh, here. I have something to clean them. Hang on. So it's good to be here. And here in the Pacific Northwest, I am hoping that we can send some of it. It didn't really rain today and it didn't rain yesterday. So I'm hoping the rain is going to head to California. And hey, Obs, how are you? Gosh, good to be here. Yay. Yes. So I have, it's as we all know, the fires here in the United States and California are on a lot of our heads and our minds. My dear friend Mary Lou, and I know I messaged her yesterday, and they were on high alert with go bags packed. She already had family who had lost homes, and I have sent a message to my dear friend Valerie, but have not heard back. So I'm not concerned when I don't hear back from someone because they're in crisis mode, and it's not their job to let me know things are okay. I'm just continually sending good vibes their way. Another friend of mine, Bobby B. I don't know if he's been on here once in a while. Come in. When my creative work hour family comes in, I haven't heard. Yeah, but he lives down more toward LAX. So it's rough. It's rough. But so tonight, it's time for some stories. Yay! Happy New Tamra. Tam's Art is telling you Happy New Year. Obs, that is coming to you from Australia. That's where Tamara is. And summertime. Aubrey is outside of Atlanta, if I think. Peachtree, if I remember right. So if you guys are ever a person who wants to do writing, like if you like to write or just some quiet writing time, Aubrey does a daily live Write With Me time. And it's at 9 o'clock Pacific. So it's at noon Eastern time, and it's just simply she opens up the space on YouTube and has time, and she writes, and there's no talking, there's no chat really much going on. It's just a quiet time to write, and it's really kind of cool. I'm very proud of her for doing that because it was one of those things we talked about in groups and what she was, because she has this huge collection of like fountain pens and stuff like that, and loves to write. And so she just went for it and opened it up like that day and has been doing it every day since. Yeah, it is really amazing. It is amazing. So tonight for stories, I have, speaking of amazing, I chose these two books, partially based on the series and the author that put them together, but they're also two of the books. Two are nonfiction, are biographies. One is a fiction, and the two books are in a series that is by a particular author. If I can get her website up here. Move over things. Where am I? See, since I changed things up, oh, thank you, Linda, for putting up Ob's connection there. Okay. Here, there's a series of books out there called Little People, Big Dreams. And, what happened? What did I do? Oh, I know why. There we go. I didn't mean to do that. The author, Maria Isabel Sanchez Vasquez, is her name, and she had this idea. Vergara, her last name is Vergara, is the author and creator of the international best-selling series Little People, Big Dreams. Growing up in the 70s in Barcelona, her heroines were Pippi Longstocking, Momo, and Tinkerbell. And she felt great admiration for the Spanish poet Gloria Fuertes. She dreamed of becoming a poet just like her one day. And it took Maria Isabel almost 40 years and most of her savings to make her dream come true. In 2012, after 20 years of working in advertising, she self-published her first book. Can't believe it's only been 23 years that she's done this. After 2 years later, she released what was meant to be a birth present for her twin nieces, Alba and Claudia, the very first title in her Little People, Big Dreams series. At the beginning of the series was first published in Spain, and then it went on and it's been translated into 33 languages. She likes to think her success of series relies on the fact that children love to read real stories about other children's experience, lives, and journeys. What's really cool, now with more than 12 million copies sold worldwide, the series continues to grow. What's cool about this also is that in these books that she's written, the opportunities that she's given to so many illustrators, each book is almost every book is illustrated by somebody different. She has, here's the illustrators. I'll just kind of go through this because she has books from Harriet Tubman, David Bowie. I can't even read all of these because if you'll look through this, the different illustrators for the people, Zaha Hadid, Rosa Parks, Ellen Montgomery, the people that she's written about, Mahatma Gandhi, Rudolf Nureyev, Audrey Hepburn, Iris Apfel, Elton John, Aretha Franklin. And her illustrators that she's used in these books have come from all over the world. This one, Yelena Brsaskova, that did Mary Shelley. Oh, she was born in Russia and grew up in Cleveland. This one Brosman was born in Spain. Miguel Buertos, he works in Spain, Spanish, London. This series is really fantastic. I have loved it since it first came out. And Wilma Rudolph, Frida Kahlo, just the way it opens up biographies to kids in such a way about kids. And that's how I kind of got started with books, was those biographies that they let me read were just amazing. And they were about the kids, about the young people of these, and they were those orange books and this, but this is what she's done. So the first one I have tonight for you guys is a book about Coco Chanel. Yay! I'm really excited about this. Let's see if you can see me. Hey, can you see me in there? Is this picture working? Let's see if that's working on what? Camera A. There I am. Okay. Yeah, it is. Coco Chanel. Little People, Big Dreams, written by M. Isabel Sanchez Vergara and illustrated by Ana Albero. Hey, Keisha, how are you? Welcome, Keisha. Oh my goodness. There's another good friend. Ah, Keisha lives in Olive Branch, Mississippi. See, I remember. She's an educator also. My goodness. And she has a wonderful channel about decorating and organizing, all kinds of stuff. Keisha, put the name of your channel in the chat, and Linda will grab the channel link for it. It would be great because then everybody can share with you what it is. Yes, Keisha Francis. Yes, Keisha was on the green team with me in Creator Camp. So here we are, you guys. Okay, so and I have to tell you that this book about Coco Chanel was really special because my mom, as I've told you about, was a master seamstress. And I mean, she sewed a thing, not a master weaver, but she could sew anything, everything. And she would get Chanel patterns and make them for herself and type of things. It was just, oh gosh, this was kind of her style, my mom's style. So Coco Chanel. Where am I? Come on, go. There we go. This series, Little People, Big Dreams. This is the story of a French girl called Gabrielle. When she was little, Gabrielle lived in an orphanage. The nuns thought Gabrielle was very strange. She was different, and they didn't like it. To be irreplaceable, one must always be different. It's one of her quotes. Gabrielle was different. While the other girls played, she liked to sew with a needle and thread. When Gabrielle grew up, she sewed by day and sang by night. The people watching her called her Coco. When Coco finally went to bed, she dreamt in shapes and patterns. She wanted to make so many things. One day, Coco made a hat for her friend, simple and elegant. It was different to the usual style. Coco made more and more hats until she had enough to open a hat shop. Her modern designs surprised the mademoiselles in Paris. One evening, at a party, Coco saw that the other ladies weren't dancing. Their corsets were too tight, and they could hardly breathe. So Coco created a brand new style, simple and straight. Her dresses and skirts would be comfortable to wear. At her first fashion show, some people sneered. Coco's clothes were too strange and different for them. But as time went on, Coco showed them that to be stylish, you don't need to wear corsets or sparkly sequins. And being different might make other people think differently too. That's why everyone now remembers the young Gabrielle as the great designer Coco Chanel. And then it has this little timeline about her. She was one of the most famous fashion designers that ever lived. Following the death of her mother when Gabrielle was 11 years old, she was sent to a strict convent school where she learned to sew. After that, she became a seamstress, sewing for a tailor during the day, and in the evening she sang on stage. In 1908, she became a hat maker and soon afterward opened her first shop in Paris. Goes on, in 1918, Chanel opened a couture house at 31 Rue Gambon, and 3 years later she unveiled her first perfume, Chanel number 5. She became a worldwide fashion icon, and her comfortable, easy to wear styles changed women's clothes forever. Thank goodness she got rid of those crazy, uh, crazy corsets. There we go. Where am I? There I am. New setup, and I haven't quite got my things all because I changed everything all up. So that was the first one. Yay. Is the place where my content lives. Okay. Oh, yay. Thank you. Oh, good, you got it. Anyway, so it was always so much fun. I mean, that's the kind of biography of someone famous. Just a little bit, just that little bit of information is the kind of thing that I love when kids see that or kids see it, and it gives you that idea just about them that it they did some things different and about standing out and being different, and that was all okay to do. So it's nice, and that the illustrations for that one too were just something so different. I mean, they're just and then in the next one, the one that I'll read at the end, that's another one of the Little People Big Dreams, has a completely different illustrator and very different style. But in the meantime, I had to come up with a story. Oh, I'm just checking. Both take me to the same place. I'm getting lost. Oh my gosh. Let me just check something right here. Go back to here. I'm going to go. Anyway, the next book I'm going to read is called, hang on. It's, how many of you guys knit? Does anybody in here knit? Keisha. I'm just checking something here. Abundance. That's your abundance channel. I found your abundance channel. And Keisha Francis Johnson. There it is. This one, the one that says Abundance Flows My Way, Cozy Craft Studio, Bodacious Bows. Is that the one, Keisha? Yeah. I wish I knew how to knit. Oh, gosh. So that's another thing, is that my mom knitted like crazy. And it was so... this story really struck me because it's a kind of a lot of what my mom was like when it came to doing knitting. My dad would know how to slow down in the car if he was driving too fast, because the knitting needles would start to go really fast. They would click faster. And she knit ski sweaters for us. She knit mittens for us. I have some that she knit for the girls. My grandkids all have hats that Grandnana knitted for them before she passed, and it's just, or the ones that were passed down, and she would knit them for the kids at my school, and it was just this wonderful thing. So this book is called A Hat for Mrs. Goldman, and it's a story about knitting and love, and it just touched me. I thought it was so sweet. Let me try something here. There we go. And come back forward. There we go. A Hat for Mrs. Goldman. When Sophia was a tiny baby, Mrs. Goldman next door knit her a tiny baby hat to keep her warm. Now, Sophia is big, and she makes the pom-poms for Mrs. Goldman's hats. Hats for the tiniest babies, hats for small, medium, and large friends and neighbors. Mrs. Goldman taught her how. Keeping kepis warm is our mitzvah, says Mrs. Goldman, kissing the top of Sophia's head. This is your kepi, and a mitzvah is a good friend. Sophia and Mrs. Goldman bundle up to walk Mrs. Goldman's dog, Fifi. Winter is almost here. Fifi wears her dinosaur sweater. Sophia wears her fuzzy kitten hat and matching mittens. Mrs. Goldman made them all. An icy wind blows. Mrs. Goldman's hair left and right. Her ears turn pink. "Where's your hat?" asks Sophia. "Oh, I gave it to Mrs. Chen," she explains. Mrs. Goldman's kepi must be cold, worries Sophia. At home, Sophia thinks and worries again. Worries and thinks Mrs. Goldman needs a hat. Who will knit one for her? Not Mrs. Goldman. She's too busy knitting for everyone else. Last year, Mrs. Goldman taught Sophia how to knit. I only like making pom-poms, decided Sophia after a few days. Knitting is hard, and it takes too long. Now, Sophia digs out the knitting bag Mrs. Goldman gave her, and the hat they started. The stitches are straight and even. The soft wool smells like Mrs. Goldman's chicken soup. Sophia holds the needles and tries to remember what to do. She drops one stitch. She drops another. Still, Sophia knits on. She wants to make Mrs. Goldman the most special hat in the world. The next day, when Sophia and Mrs. Goldman walk Fifi, tiny fluffs of snow fall on Mrs. Goldman's head. Her ears are bright red. Mrs. Goldman's kepi must be very cold, frets Sophia. Sophia knits after breakfast. She knits after lunch. She knits after dinner. She even knits while Mama reads her a bedtime story. But Sophia doesn't knit at all when she is at Mrs. Goldman's house because the hat is a surprise. All week, there's frost on the windows. One day when they are walking Fifi, Mrs. Goldman wraps Mr. Goldman's scarf around her head like she's a mummy. A fierce wind unwraps it and flings it high. Sophia jumps and grabs the end of the scarf, and Fifi nips at the other end. Mrs. Goldman's kepi must be freezing, shivers Sophia. Sophia knits and knits and knits, faster and faster and faster. Stitch by stitch, row by row. Then Sophia sews. At last, Mrs. Goldman's hat is done. Sort of. The hat is lumpy and bumpy. And there are holes where there shouldn't be holes. It looks like a monster hat, thinks Sophia. And Sophia turns the hat over and around, inside and out. Mrs. Goldman hat should not be a monster hat. That will scare Fifi. Sophia opens the box of hats Mrs. Goldman made her. Each one is special, but they are too small for Sophia now, and way too small for Mrs. Goldman. Sophia looks in the hall closet. There are hats Mrs. Goldman made for Mama and Papa. She can't give her their hats. There's a scratchy old hat Sophia's abuela wore back in Mexico, worse than Mr. Goldman's scarf. Sophia thinks about Mrs. Goldman and the hats they make together. Your pom-poms add beauty, Mrs. Goldman always tells her, and that's a mitzvah too. Sophia feels her heart grow bigger and lighter like a balloon. She searches her room for red yarn. Red is Mrs. Goldman's favorite color. She gathers her scissors, her sewing needle, and her stack of index cards. Sophia gets busy, very busy. When Sophia is done, Mrs. Goldman's hat is the most special hat in the world. Sophia rushes next door. Surprise! For me? Asks Mrs. Goldman. For you, answers Sophia. It's a hat, she says. Of course it is, exclaims Mrs. Goldman, and she hugs Sophia, and then she cries. What's wrong? Asks Sophia. Don't you like it? Oh, I more than like it. I love it, declares Mrs. Goldman. Gorgeous, like Mr. Goldman's rose bushes, and you know how I love his roses. Mrs. Goldman kisses Sophia on top of her kepi. I made it all by myself, Sophia tells her. Amazing, and will you look at all these pom-poms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, she counts, and Sophia joins in. There are 20 pom-poms on Mrs. Goldman's hat, each one made with love. She gently puts her hat on, and the next day, Sophia and Mrs. Goldman walk Fifi. Fifi wears her dinosaur sweater. Sophia wears her fuzzy kitten hat and matching mittens. And Mrs. Goldman wears Sophia's hat. Her kepi is toasty warm. And that's a mitzvah. I love this in this book because it tells how to make a Sophia hat, make the Sophia hat, and how to make the pom-poms. If you've ever made pom-poms with an index card, you fold it in half and wrap up the yarn around and around and around and around, and then tie it and cut it and fluff it out. We used to do that with the kids at school all the time when we would make certain things. We would have we had them that we made them, and then they could take them out and give them to somebody with a kind word. They could pull a string. What was that called? Keisha, what was that called when you did that? It wasn't Make My Day. It was another thing. A warm fuzzy. You'd give them a warm fuzzy. That's right. You'd make these pom-poms, and we did the whole thing, and then they could pull one of the strings out and give to somebody to give them a warm fuzzy. Oh, I love that. Yay. So back to, all right, yes. That's 2 books. Okay, so now for the next one. We have to, first, fun and cool book. Kepi is the Yiddish word for head. Yep, it is. I would like a crochet flapper hat. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, Layla came up one time, she was up, I got her a crochet thing, and she crocheted a hat, and it was so cute, and it was one of those kind of a kit things that you could do. My sister Sarah does the knitting now. She knits a lot. Mom could knit anything, but she didn't teach us so much because she said she knitted wrong. Because she did what was called a continental style back then, and it wasn't the traditional one. But what it did was it saved her hands. So the traditional knitting oftentimes had this big kind of where you threw it, and it caused people who knitted it got a lot of carpal tunnel. Mom had a way she did it that it was called the continental, and she hardly ever had to move her needles at all or her hands, and she was fast. She knit when they were moving from Yakima to LaConner. It was about a I would say maybe 4-hour drive, and they were moving back, and they would take loads of stuff over back and forth. So Mom would knit on the way. And so when she was doing that she would knit caps she knit caps for kids for the children's hospital. And in a car ride, it only took her 40 minutes to do a little kid's hat. So you can imagine she could get a lot done, and they went, all the trips that went back and forth, moving back and forth. And then an adult hat took her just over an hour, about 80 minutes. And she would make them, she made them for my school for kid size. And I came in one day with like 100 hats because we had a lot of kids who didn't have hats in the winter. And then she made them for my, a finish colored one for my principal one. And then she made Roy was Finnish, and then for Vigo, he was Norwegian, so she made for Vigo a Norwegian one. It was just cute. We all have them, and they were wonderful hats. Too much fun. Yeah. So anyway, the next book. All right. I have to just show you. I couldn't find the other glasses. I couldn't find my blue ones that are designed by this person, but these are. So these are my sunglasses, my cool ones. So the next book is about the person who designed these glasses, who is the designer for these now. She's in her 90s and she designs glasses for Zenny as well as all the other stuff that she does. I'm not going to keep these on to try to read because everything will be kind of crazy. But the next book is kind of fun. It's about, and it's in that Little People Big Dreams. The illustrator is completely different. Let me see if I got this on the right side. Yes. And the illustrator is Kristen Bernhardt. Oh, I was going to tell you. Let me go back. Oh, nope, I don't have to. The illustrator in that last book I read, remember the holiday handwriting school book I read? Same illustrator that did that last book. That one. Okay, so this next book is about another designer. It's my next and last book of the night. Another designer, another woman who was different and who made a huge impact. Both Coco Chanel and this one coming up have, Coco Chanel has a permanent exhibit in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the couture collection. And then this one had an exhibit that lasted like 3-4 years at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. But she's quite something and another big impact on fashion. And this is the book about Iris Apfel. Yes, Iris Apfel. Little People, Big Dreams. Known for her glasses now. Oh my gosh, she's so much fun. Come on. Oh, hold it. I'm in the wrong spot. There we go. I was on the wrong page. Iris Apfel, Little People, Big Dreams. The Barrels were a Jewish family from New York who had only one child, Iris. From an early age, Iris loved fabrics. She watched her mother work magic with accessories and scarves every day. Iris's grandmother kept dozens of bags full of the most wonderful treasures, little scraps of fabric in all shapes, colors, and patterns. Iris spent long evenings playing with them, picking her favorites to take home. When teenage Iris got money from her mother to buy an outfit, she was in her element. Finding the perfect dress for her wardrobe was fun, but doing it at the right price was even better. With the money left, she could also have lunch. One day, while studying art history at New York University, a lady told Iris something phenomenal. Young lady, you are not pretty, and you may never be pretty, but you have something much more important. You have style. But Iris never dressed to be stared at. She dressed to express herself. Sometimes getting ready for a party was more fun than being at the party itself. There was a sense of wonder and excitement in every outfit she created. Her first job was as an assistant to an interior designer. Soon, Iris stepped out on her own as a decorator. She loved searching for materials and figuring out how they would look in her clients' homes. When Iris met Carl, it took her an hour to realize that, together, every day was a vacation. He always celebrated his wife's successes, and they shared the same sense of humor. the secret ingredient for long-lasting happiness. They opened a boutique that became known for its unique materials and beautiful textiles. After dressing the home of 9 presidents at the White House, everyone called Iris the First Lady of Fabric. Iris and Carl traveled the world looking for something extraordinary. They knew it could be found anywhere, hidden in a busy Moroccan market or in a fashion studio in Milan. Wherever they went, Iris always found a new piece to add to her wardrobe. After 60 years of collecting flea market finds and mixing them with high fashion, Iris's wardrobe had become the most extraordinary collection of clothes. She was 84 when the Metropolitan Museum of Art asked her to display it. When the exhibition opened, the public fell in love with those outfits and the accessories, and the woman who dared to wear them. Suddenly, Iris was a global fashion icon. She became the star of a documentary and made it to the cover of the best fashion magazines. She even wrote a book about her life. And of course, she found time to celebrate her 90th birthday as the new face of a makeup company. And by being the rarest bird in the world of fashion, little Iris showed the world just how fun and how wonderful life can be when you let yourself shine. She was born in Astoria, New York, to Samuel and his Russian-born wife, Sadie. Her parents owned a fashion boutique and a glass and mirror business. She grew up close to her grandparents, and that fed her fashion for styling. Riding the subway for just a nickel, she explored New York, falling in love with the eccentricities of the city's street style. She studied art history at New York University and attended art school at the University of Wisconsin. She worked for Women's Wear Daily as an interior designer, Eleanor Johnson, and illustrator Robert Goodman. She met her husband when she was 27, and they launched a textile firm, Old World Weavers. Yeah, my mom used to tell me she was all about this. Because my mom, we had so much fabric around the house and things like that. We would go to fabric stores in different places and when they traveled. Throughout the life of their business, Iris and Carl traveled the world, buying pieces of unusual textiles and handmade clothes, and sometimes from tiny communities in remote villages. Back in New York, she wore these pieces to high society parties and fashion events, expressing her love for world culture. But although she was well loved in New York circles, it was a call from the curator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 2005 that propelled Iris to world stage. At 84, Iris's wardrobe went on display in an exhibition for everyone to see, and I think the exhibition lasted for 3 years. The show was styled by Iris, and people fell in love with her personality and her wacky combinations. Almost overnight, Iris's star grew to be one that the world would learn from, how to have fun, to be good to others, and express yourself, whatever your age. Yes, I just love this. So that was another one. Oh, I know what I was going to do. There. Get rid of this. There, we don't need me twice. Yay. So I know that it just is so much fun. You use circular cards to wind yarn now? All right, 3 tonight. Yeah, so Keisha, I bet you love this about all the fabric and the designer and the decorating, because Keisha does. That's kind of one of her loves, but also this whole theme of celebrating their unique style, of being different. Coco Chanel just said, no, I want to do something, and I like this style. And she's stuck with that. A Chanel look is very, see things designed by the original House of Chanel, you know that they were her style and how they came, and that kind of thing. And Iris Apfel, oh my gosh, yes, she's just so much fun. I remember watching her on something. Oh, I don't know what the design show was she came on, but Christian Soriano was on too. The designer that he was the winner of the very first Project Runway, and now he just dressed Melissa McCarthy for the Golden Globes. That's right. But he prides himself on designing clothes for all types of women and all sizes and all shapes and different things. And he and Iris Apfel it was just hilarious, the two of them. But yes, the sunglasses are some that were on part of her designs. I love it in Zenny that they have a whole collection of them, which is kind of my favorite things. And yeah, Larry's here. Hi, Larry. How are you? Nice to have you here. Gosh, good to see you. Hi's off to home the twins. She says hi. She's off to take home the twins. Oh, goodness. Taking care of the grandkids. My favorite fabric is linen, cotton, and silk. Yeah, my mom had all different kinds of fabric. And like I've said, we have quilts that are from the fabrics that she collected. My grandmother did too. Grandma did too. I grew up around fabric and sewing, and we all learned to sew very early age, and I still can, but it's one of those wonderful things. Hey, Shauna, how are you? Shauna made it. Great. Oh, it's so fun to have everybody here. So you guys, I'm permanently moved the start time to 6 o'clock because it just makes it a little easier for people on the East Coast. Keisha's usually tucked in bed by this time, and I know Aubrey is too. But anyway, you and Gail are around the same. Yes. Yeah, Gail. I haven't talked to Gail in about 3 months. Did I send her a message? Yeah, it's been a couple 3. I think I sent her a message at Thanksgiving and heard from her. But anyway, you guys, that's my stories for tonight. We had Coco Chanel in the Little People Big Dreams. That whole series of books that that author has put together. She has so many of them, and they're all different illustrators. That's what I find so fascinating about them, is that she has, I don't know what, 30, 40 books now out, and every one of them is by a different illustrator, and they fit so well with who they're talking about. It's really fun. And she's got some new ones coming out on more. She just did a book on Beckham and somebody else too. It's just fun. It's fun. Anyway, so that was my thing tonight, was not only designers and fabrics and knitters and that kind of things, but people who express themselves, just living and being who they are. And I think that's wonderful. Celebrate that and what it teaches kids when they see those books. Now, Sunday night, I will be back for show and tell as well as story time. So please send in your artwork to my email, imagesbygretchen@icloud.com. And since Larry is in the house, let's give a Larry applause. Yay, because Larry is the one who's responsible for me changing the name of my channel from Images by Gretchen to Imagine with Gretchen. And I went out and did it right after the show last Sunday. And so now it is Imagine with Gretchen. Yes. And on camera -GG17 is my photography going. I have to have there's somebody else who has an on camera, so mine's -GG17 for now. That's fine. So that's got my photography stuff on it. I got that channel going, and it's got like all of 15 subscribers. Woohoo! But it's nice to be able to separate them and have that and have this be Imagine with Gretchen, so I can really do some more of the artwork and the things. So don't be surprised if you open up one night for a live and I'm sitting here painting and doing stuff. I was going to be out in the studio today. I told you I might be out in the outside studio for the show tonight, but it's cold. And it was cold and dark and wet, and I was a wuss. Flat out wuss. I'm like, no, I don't want to go outside. I went for a log walk earlier in the day with Aldo and everything while it was nice, and then I decided I didn't want to go out. It was cold. It was getting colder, so anyway, it was easy. Anyway, you guys, that's it for tonight on Story and Art. And Sunday we'll have Send in Your Art so we can have show and tell and see what you've been doing. Even if it's a picture of something that you've designed or put together, or maybe it's something you're working on. Who knows? Something creativity. Something creative. Something that sparks you. Something that you having fun with. Whether you think it's great or not, that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is of sharing and being proud of ourselves and what we do. Perfect is overrated, completely overrated. And so we're just going with fun and having a good time with it. So everybody, I hope to see you on Sunday. And until then, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you. But the first place you'll find it is when you go look in the mirror. And that doesn't change even if I have another channel, because that's still my motto. And that doesn't take a lot of imagination. You can do it. All right. See you Sunday. Oh. What's that?
In the heat of the night, we could get lost in all the lights and sounds. Feeling alright, we won't go home, we will just stay here downtown. There's not just stars on the boulevard, they're in the light in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards, I just need you by my side. We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous.
Yay.
Famous.
Thank you, Shauna.
Looking like a model, better than the usual. Yeah, you don't even try. Not average or typical. I put you on a pedestal.
A brown snake? Is it a nice snake, or is it
Stars on the boulevard.
no? Sharing and creating, yes. Oh, Obs, we would love to see some of your stuff you do with your fountain pen.
I just need you by my side.
Not good. No kidding. Yikes.
With a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh,
Yes, Larry, it does. Take a video. I want to see.
we could be famous. We could be famous. We could be famous.
Tamara, dig something out of your trunk of stuff. Linda, you too. Dig something out. That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to go dig out of Aunt Susie's trunk.
We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh,
Okay, Larry, what kind of fabric is that? I don't know that one. I'm gonna have to look it up. Either that or he's pulling my leg or something.
we could be
I don't know.
famous. We could be famous. We could be famous.
Night, everybody.